Marine Reserve veteran. I'm a mechanical engineer. I've got decades of industrial experience. My job has taken me to all corners of the world. I've worked on every continent except for Antarctica. I worked as a design engineer, a field service engineer, product engineer, engineering manager, and I'm listed as an inventor on 6 U.S. patents, 2 of them directly associated with mining safety. And I'm here today to want to become your next state mine inspector. Woo!
Yeah.
So I want to ask you this. Who even knew that that was an elected position?
I did not know that.
That's good, because if I got $1 every time somebody asked me, why is that an elected position, I'd be fully funded right now. And I'm not running a clean election, but we are running a very austere campaign. So any money you want to throw our way, we're happy to take that. But most importantly, it is the signatures. Well, what does the mine inspector do? Well, first of all, this has been an elected position since 1912. And what the mine inspector does is Arizona has 450 active mines. And the mine inspector is expected to inspect every open pit mine twice a year and every underground mine 4 times a year. That's a lot. On top of that, we're also expected to manage Arizona's estimated 100,000 abandoned mines, of which about 10% or 10,000 of those have actually been even marked and located. So it's a really big job. And then you pile on top of that reclamation. We're also in charge of, after a mine's been permitted, to approve the reclamation plan, and when it goes into and the bond, and then when it actually happens, make sure it happens the way we expect it to happen. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of the job right there. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the electoral history and why signatures and everything are so important across the board. So a while back, first of all, anybody know the last time we had a Democrat in this role as a mine inspector?
Maybe never.
I know. The people. The answer is 50 years. 1976, the bicentennial. That's a long time. But it's okay, it gets worse. In my lifetime, 9 times, we even haven't had a Democrat to run against the Republican in this position. Okay? And then on top of that, the last 2 guys were appointed. So it's time for Arizona to make a change. And I'll tell you how the appointed one works out. This is why signatures are important. We had a really good candidate. His name is Bill Pierce. You might know him, might have heard of him. They call him the Legend of Bill Pierce. Looked like a miner the whole bit. He ran against Inspector Hart and lost by just a couple points, put a great campaign together. But what happened is Inspector Hart passed in office. He was, I think he was in his 4th term anyways. And so Governor Ducey was obligated to pick this guy, Paul Marsh, and put him as the mine inspector. So next cycle came around, and Bill Pierce went in there again, didn't get his signatures. So he wasn't on the ballot. And Marsh, not even elected yet, is still, he gets elected because he's got no competition. He's still there, right? Late last summer, Marsh decides, you know what, I got a great job opportunity in Texas. I'm heading out. And he leaves us. So governor is obligated to pick another mine inspector because we can't go without one, and she's obligated to pick another Republican. So that's who I will be running against this November. Okay, so that's why it's so important that we get our signatures in. So the Mine Safety Health Administration, that's the feds, they are the ones that would also do the same thing we do. They were supposed to come to the mines and do the same inspections. It was reported that they've been having a hard time due to staffing shortages, budget cuts, and hiring freezes to do their jobs. So that's what makes this role even more important now, because mining is booming in Arizona. We produce 70% of the nation's copper in this state. That's a lot of copper when you think about it. So what it means is we're going to have to spend a lot more time paying attention to these mines and making sure that they're doing the good work. So there's a lot of regulations that we inspect to. The one I like to focus on, well, I'll give you an example of one. Don't smoke around explosives. Don't do that. Another good one is all mine inspectors have to be trained in first aid. Not only do we have to be trained in first aid, we have to be able to train you in first aid. We show up on a site, there's nobody that knows first aid. We can train somebody and we can leave that site just a little bit safer than when we got there. So those are some good regulations. But the one I like to focus on, and that's the one I think is most important, is operator responsibility. And I virtually memorized that regulation, and it goes something like this. The mine operator should run his operation with due regard for health and safety. That's it, the whole thing. But it's the due regard. The health and safety is the 2 important words, but it's the due regard that opens the door that we have to check everything. That means If it's associated with the mining, we're involved with it. I could go on for hours telling you about the plans, but basically there are no rules beyond that. So what I would propose going forward and what I would implement is I'm allowed to write rules. The legislature will let me write rules. I can't write rules to say, I'm going to lower your taxes, but I can write rules saying that if you're going to put an electrical box in, it has to follow the National Electric Code. So that's what we want to do, is kind of uplift our mining to that level. With that, I'll just tell you a little bit about me. I'm a mechanical engineer. I graduated from a university in Tennessee. When I was growing up, there was two things that was most important to me. One was to be a Marine like my dad, and to be an engineer. When I got close to graduating high school, I thought if I did one, I wouldn't do the other. However, I had a really clever high school counselor, and I enlisted in the Marine Reserves. So I did my reserve duty while I was going to college. So you can imagine, as a young man, I'm doing my calculus test Friday afternoon, and Saturday morning, I'm on a firing line because I was in an infantry unit. So from there, I had a wide variety of jobs in engineering, but I got into mining about 2008, and I just fell in love with it. When the opportunity presented itself, when we're all trying to find a way to how we can help out with the way things are going, I found myself in a position that I could actually do this job, and that's why I'm running for this particular position. And I want to leave you with one last thought, and that is something that happened to me a couple weeks ago. I'm part of a trail maintenance team, and what we do is we get together on every Wednesday morning, we go up in the mountains and we fix trails. So this one particular Wednesday, there was 5 of us. We have a surgeon, 2 engineers, and 2 tradesmen. And 3 Republicans, 2 Democrats. And we're working this trail. We cleared about a mile of rock off of a trail, rock about this big off a mile of the trail. 100 yards of it, we actually had to move the trail because it had been so eroded away. We worked shoulder to shoulder, and we got this work done. When we finished up, we were kind of looking back at our work, and it came to me that, you've heard the story where the artist, he looks at the block and says, my masterpiece is in there. When we're standing up there and we're looking over this trail that we had done, and you look down at the country, I realized we have a really great country here. All we have to do is dig it out. And with that, thank you for listening to me. Thank you for being here.